Today's job's this, in this little communal kitchen, just working here today. Going to change this stainless steel sink for a new one, and new taps on there. To be honest, I've not done a great deal of plumbing since I used to do the domestic work. It's mainly been electrical, do little bits and bobs. So just have a look on here. Hopefully I'm going to manage this okay, not going to flood the place with a bit of luck. So what we'll do first of all is we'll turn the water off. This here is feeding the instantaneous water heater. I don't think you can see, it's just around the back there. So this stop tap here should isolate both the hot and the cold. These taps are obviously getting changed. These are basin taps that they've got on at the minute. We've got some pillar lever style taps, proper ones for a kitchen sink. So that'll all come off. Right, that seems isolated, so we'll start taking this old one out and get ready to fit the new one in. Hopefully it'll go straight in. I've measured up and it should be the right size to go straight in there without too much modification to the worktop. So first things first is I've taken that shelf out, dropped it down there and just done the hinges and took that door off and plonked it over there. Give yourself a bit of clear space. Now if we look up there, there's the tap connectors. You can see them just there. The ends in the way there. They're up there anyway. The tap connector nuts, we've got to get to those. And one on the other side over there, and then obviously the waste to disconnect. So to disconnect the taps, I'm going to be using this tool here. That grips around the nut, as you'll see in a minute. Let's get this tool around the nut. It's got a grip of it. I'm just going to crack that off. And same with the other side. That's both of those cracked off. Probably just hand tight. Not quite. That's nice and loose. We'll just disconnect this trap from the bottom there. It's all spinning. I'll put this camera down, see if I can get an angle there. Just undo that. Right, that's that off. We'll leave it on for now because obviously the trap there is stopping smells coming back up from that pipe, so we'll just leave it as it is for the time being. So now we've got the waste off. These are just hand tight, so I'll crack those off. There'll be a drop of water come out which I'll catch, and then we'll just have to undo these screws around there, and then hopefully the sink will all lift out. That's the first one undone. These little plumb tubs are handy. You can sort of clip those bits around the pipes there, and it catches any drips. This one's dripping quite a little bit there. Just pop my old towel down there to catch the worst of those. Try and get this other one off. I must say I don't miss the domestic work, being jammed in little cupboards and awkward spaces like this, but one of those things, it's a job that has to be done like any other. Right, so that's the pipe work disconnected. We literally just got to now undo all these screws. Once the screws are undone, you literally just pull that bracket down down to about there and flip it up like so. So I'll do those all the way around. One thing not to do, what we've all done in the past, you get your little tub of water like that, you chuck it down the sink, forgetting that you're not connected underneath there, and you just fill your cupboard full of water. We've all done that, so I'm remembering this time not to do it. I'll just put it there. Right, this sink should now just lift out. It's obviously stuck down with a bit of sealant or whatever, but a little bit of encouragement. One clip was just catching. There we go. Just check that it is actually fully off of the pipe work. You don't want to be bending anything. That's it. Oh, we've got the earth bonding underneath. I forgot about that. There, just on that earth tag there. I need to disconnect that, then I'll be able to lift the sink out and offer the new one into position. So I've just come across a slight problem when I've taken the sink out. This here is obviously part of this tap and must be specific to the boiler. It obviously mixes the hot and the cold or whatever, or possibly, I'll tell you what it actually probably is, because there's not an expansion vessel in there. I expect that's some sort of release, pressure release valve. If you look on there, it says do not over tighten this tap when turned off. It's intended that it should drip a few minutes. So that's what that is, I expect. So it looks like the old taps are going to go back on after all. And all this pipe work needs shifting along by about 20 mil, which is a bit of a pain in the backside, but it is what it is. So I'll get that modified and then we'll get the new sink into place. Disconnected that from there. Basically all this has got to shunt across a bit. I'm probably going to have enough movement on the pipes because it's a little bit of a cobbled up job anyway with all these fittings, so I'll try and get rid of some of these and neaten up this pipe work at the same time. Now drop the sink into place. I've put the taps on loose, just connected to the pipe work, so I can see under here now the position of the pipe work, so we can see it needs just shortening. So I can now put a mark on there, cut those pipes. To be honest, I think they want redoing because I think they've probably been forced up with a bit of an angle that looks a bit cockeyed, so I'll probably redo those. I've modified that first section of pipe work here. It goes back to the water heater. I had to replace that. It was all higgledy-piggledy. It was a bit of a bodge job. Now that that's in there, it's slightly offset from this pipe, so I'm going to have to create a sort of an S-bend piece to go in here to shunt that along. Now when you want to bend a pipe, if you've cut it off with a pipe slice like that, the bending spring won't actually go in, so you need to just hacksaw the end off, then you can get the spring in. I'm not worried about cutting that square because I'll tidy it up with a pipe slice after anyway. Let's just try and get the bend and spring in. That's bent to roughly the correct angle, so now I just need to remove this old Hep 20 fitting. Snip that off. You have like a metal one way sort of washer that pushes on, you can't really get them off, you just got to chop them off. There. So there's this swan neck piece fitted to the check valve and stop tap, and you can see it lines up quite nicely there. Just needs a fitting on there to join that up. Just cleaning the pipe up ready for soldering. Just use a bit of emery paper. Some people use wire wool, I prefer emery paper personally. I don't like the feel of wire wool, it sends shivers down my spine. I don't like it, it's awful. That and cotton wool. So I'll stick with the emery. I've always got to make sure you get them nice and clean, else the solder doesn't stick properly. So there it is in, all lined up. Now you could solder it in situ, just where it is there with a blow lamp, but there's a lot of wood around, so what I like to do is I'll just put a pencil line on there and on there, like that. This mark here, what's important to get the swan neck correct. I'll take it all off there, put the flux on, line it all back up and just solder it down here and then fit it all back up. So I've got my pieces there now. I know they need to line up because I've got the lines on there, so I'm going to put a bit of flux on. Right. Taking care not to wipe the line off. A bit of flux on the pipe, flux on the fitting. This one here is where I've got to take care to line the lines up. In fact, I think I've lost my lines on there. Yeah, no, there it is. Well, it's alright. I know it lines up with this. With that line there. Just see the line there. Right. I lift it back in place in there just to see if it just looks about right. Yeah, doesn't look far off. I've got the solder ready. I do it over here, over this tub with water in, just in case any solder drips. These are soldering fittings, you don't really need any extra solder, but I like to add a little bit on. Oh. There's the fire alarm going off. Well, just finished that off outside to avoid setting the fire alarms off anymore. It is soldered up. Give that a bit of clean up, get any excess flux off. Just going to now offer this piece of pipework into position. I've taken the old fibre washer off there and cleaned that up. I want to pop a new fibre washer on, never reuse those because they perish, so I always put a new one on. I will eventually put a new one on up there where it connects to the tap as well. It's the actual pipe work done now by the feed pipe. I haven't done anything with the waste yet. So I've took the new sink back out. I'm just going to clean all this lot off here. This old seal and stuff. Get all that cleaned up, and then it's about time to fit the new sink into place. That's a worktop pretty much cleaned up. Use some of these Wonder Wipes, they're quite good. Use some of those to finish it off. I don't know whether you can see that there's no sealant on there. It's a thing that always seems to happen, that people don't bother sealing the worktop. You can do it with either PVA, silicone, something like that. I just use a bit of sort of water-based no nails. So I'm going to put some of that on. It just protects the, well, it's not really a grain, but the edge is unsealed. It protects that if water gets down. None has ever got down here, you can see. There might be a little bit in that corner, but it's always worth doing. Do the job properly. So now I've just got to fit this seal around the edge of here. Got just a little foam self-adhesive seal that will seal against from between that and the worktop. Then these few clips just need clipping on. Pop these clips in. Oh, when you get in, they have them sharp bits on. You have to be careful not to cut your fingers on them bits. Do a quick count, because I normally don't give you one for every single hole. No, we've just got to even them out the best we can. There's a new sink, all the clips on, taps on, just ready to drop into place now, see if it all lines up with the pipe work. That's the water back on. All on, everything seems dry. I did have a little bit of a wipe from that joint, but I've nipped it up. Everything's okay. So now we've just got to sort this waste out. Got the waste kit here. I don't know what you think about this. I mean, they come with these foam gaskets, they're often rubber. I like to put a little bit of sealant of some sort, something like that, on the gasket. Put a little bead on there. Not too much, just a little skim like that. And the gasket. On that, and then a little bit on this as well. Not too much, we don't want it spreading out and smearing all over the sink. That'll do for that. Just fit this in position now. When you get it almost tight, you want to make sure you've got this centralised like that. I've seen them fitted before where they cockeyed over at the side or back, so we get that right. I'm also going to check underneath that the overflow pipe's pointing towards the rear. It doesn't have to be exactly sort of 90 degrees to it, but somewhere near. That's on nice. The original P-trap won't quite line up, a little bit short, so I've been and got a new one from Screwfix. Hopefully this will just pop straight on and be able to be adjusted height wise to fit. Well, that's a perfect example where you would chuck it in the sink and end up pouring it back down, so I want to put that in my plumb tub there. And this horrible sludgy bit off. Go. I find it easy to pop all the bits and pieces on to the pipe first and get some of that sludge out there, I think. That's very nice. It's nice just to keep all the fittings slightly slack while you get everything lined up. Once this one's on and tight, and I'm happy that all that's lined up, and then tighten these up. I've just got the overflow to connect to the back of the sink and into the waste, into there, and then that's that done. That's that job done then. Just got this blue plastic to peel off. Hopefully there'll not be a big ding in the sink anywhere. Well, that's it done. To be honest, I think I prefer electrical work. That's taken me about an extra 2 hours to what I thought. Absolutely sick to death. Sick to death. It's now, what time is it? I think it's 3 o'clock. I thought it would have been done by 1, but not to worry. These things happen, don't they?